Let's see what to talk about. Why her hair?
Isn't that...
Is that your natural hair color?
Yep, I'm a natural brunette. It's a popular color these days.
Aww. They went and VO'd these things. Cool. That would explain there's one. Cool, awesome. Where are your parents from?
By the way,
Well, my dad's English. And my mom's Japanese American. They moved here because of work.
Oh, that's so neat. She's a transplant, but a reverse. How long ago did you move here?
I was 7 at the time. So actually, I've lived here way longer than when I lived overseas.
Okay.
Let's see. I went to elementary school in Ijincho, then middle school in Tokyo. Then I came back here after high school.
I see.
That explains why you're fluent in Japanese. She's, we have to remind ourselves that she's speaking Japanese.
Honestly, I think I traded all my Japanese for English.
Huh?
That's weird. Well, your English is impeccable.
Yeah, get this. A tourist started talking to me earlier, and I totally blanked out. I had to find a foreigner nearby to translate.
I bet you made that foreigner blank out too.
This kind of thing happens all the time to me. It's like, just because I look a certain way doesn't mean I speak your language.
That's fair. I have the role reversal. It's I can empathize with that. The role reversal. Definitely terrible at Mandarin. But doesn't stop from being approaching because of a familiar face. In an unfamiliar country.
Hey,
Does Girls Bite ever let you wear your own clothes to work?
Nope, there's a uniform, so we can't just wear whatever. I'd rather not be on the street looking like that, so I changed at the bar.
I guess
Fair
so.
enough. Oh, makes sense. I bet you really draw a lot of unwanted attention dressed like that, huh?
Yeah, might end up attracting some pervy old drunks.
Now that you mention it,
If you don't mind me asking, Emily-chan, why'd you start working at a girls' bar?
Oh, well, believe it or not, the owner himself scouted me out.
oh,
Wow. This happened here in Ichincho? I don't even think we met the owner, unless it's low-key Mori-san somehow.
Yeah, he called out to me from down the street.
Nah, he's
I
not.
thought he was hitting on me at first, so I took off.
It was probably more or less barking. I think I get why guys hit on you. I'm sure you get hit on a lot. Though both sentiments are kind of similar. Well, I'm sure you get hit on a lot.
Yeah, pretty often. Ijincho's not bad, but in Tokyo it was like every freaking day. Like so often, I couldn't tell if they were hitting on me or trying to bring me into some club.
I guess so.
Well, Emily-chan, can't say I'm surprised.
I'm just too hot to ignore, I guess. So the day the owner well, recruited me, I ran off because I thought he was just another thirsty dude. Then he did the same thing the next day, and again the day after. So I finally went up and asked, "Are you really that desperate, man?"
Well, I bet that took him by surprise.
Totally. But after I heard him out, the job sounded really fun, so I accepted.
And now you're the most popular girl here. I'm sure the owner values what you bring to the table.
Well, I do enjoy my work. I love socializing. And if just talking to me can make someone happy, then I'm happy too.
Oh, I can
Knowing
get
that,
behind
I can
that.
give it my all, despite the fast pace and long hours.
I can get
That was
behind that.
amazing.
Having pride in your work is a wonderful thing. Well
Pride?
said.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I do have some pride in my job. But honestly, I want to get out of Yujincho.
Does that mean
You do. Why?
Well, the thing is,
Emily-chan?
I'm sick of being here.
Huh?
See, I get bored real easy, and living in the same place for too long is not my idea of an exciting life.
You're just bored here. Wonder if it's really that simple. Me too. Even her nails look stylish. I can see that. Your nails are super cute. Looks like you really invest in your nail. You treat your fingertips with respect. I like that.
that was amazing?
I see you even treat your fingertips with respect. Now that's impressive.
I'll take the compliment. Nail care is a must in any customer-facing business. But you know, Takayuki, you have pretty fingers too.
Why, thank you. No, I'm just kidding. Huh, you think so?
Oh yeah, I can tell you keep those nails nice and trimmed. Well done.
Well done, Yagami. Well done. I just keep my nails short because I'll break them in a fight if they're too long. But hey, I'll take it. I can totally agree with that. It's kind of weird, but I trim my nails because of keyboard. Too much writing. Typing on the keyboard. Nails hitting the keys.
Now that you
Keycat.
mention it.
By the way, Emily-chan, there's something I've been curious about. Oh yeah? What's that? What's the S stand for in Emily S. Mochizuki? Is it your middle name? Oh, well, it's
It's a secret.
a secret. S for secret.
Huh?
A secret? Come on, really?
Yeah.
Yep. Only people I really know what the S stands for. Really like. No. People you really like, huh?
That's not for you to know just yet, I'm afraid.
Guess that means I'm not telling you, Takayuki. That burns just enough to get me fired up. Alright, it's the middle name hunt. That's very, I don't know how often that happens in Japan, but that's a very American thing. The hunt for middle names.
Yeah.
Alright. Get back to the bar.
You ever get any weird customers or people that try to mess with you?
Oh, totally. Happens all the time.
Give me an example.
So, like, they'll try to get me to say something dirty, thinking I don't know Japanese.
What do you do about it?
Well, the owner always says to just laugh it off. But I end up telling them off instead. Stupid jerks.
Classic Emily-chan. Did they get pissed?
No. I actually think they like it.
Oh.
So they really are weird.
Oh, we're going?
Aw, this is... I like this. They're really capturing... Oh, there's something up ahead. Oh, I like this. This is a very nice way to still do the thing, but allow activity. Embellish the slice of life feel. Oh, what's going on? That's what I heard. Wait. Oh no. Are these her classmates?
Huh?
Oh, hey. I knew you were here. Mankichi? Oh, this is the back. Yeah, this is the class reunion. Oh. Oh no, yeah, they're classmates, of course. Antisocial Emily? Oh no, it's about being being from outside the country, like acclimating, adapting because of multiculturalism. So you get bullied out of it. That means you take real his name really is Mankichi? Man. Strongest suit.
Hey!
No. I mean, she was picked on when she was younger, when she was acclimating to the Japanese, to living in Japan. I can only imagine, man. Now that I think about it, the role reversal here is disproportionate because Japan is a conformity country. I mean, I guess even at that age, it's still conformity in the United States. Because of youth don't have enough life experience yet, so xenophobia is often masked by uh group unity. So a lot of times when you stick out, since you stick out, it makes you an easy target, regardless of the culturalism. It becomes a little bit more complex as you grow older, but younger things stick out tends to attract attention, for better or for worse, most of the time. But not necessarily. I'm not sure if younger periods in Japan is enhanced and exacerbated by its emphasis on conformity. But in the United States, it's usually more conformity early in life because that's where comfort, you can make friends when you emphasize conformity. But later on, like the as the times have changed, and even when you grow older, conformity becomes a little bit less emphasized. It becomes a little bit overrated in the Americanized generations, where individualism is highlighted most of the time. But going into Japan, like into high school and possibly college and stuff, I think, based on the subject matter that's presented, at least in this game, uh, conformity is still held incredibly strong throughout adulthood. So that must be kind of tough. I can see why they chose this particular subject matter to complement the game's theme and having a multicultural and multinational person as an interacting point for Yagami.
Takayuki.
You okay? Alright, I need to take the day off. I just called out. I see.
I'm sorry.
Mind if I head home?
Yeah.
Not at all. I'll walk you back. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. The only way I know about conformity being incredibly strong into adulthood is all the sharing of people who ended up transplanting to Japan from an English speaking country, and then they express like, or there are some Japanese influencers out there who like ask and talk about the candidness of strangers to talk about how it was to uh become to assimilate Japanese culture from a different country, right? And usually you get the same thing a lot of times where you follow the rules, you conform as best as you can. However, because of the facts of being a transplant, it's a really tough culture to ever circumvent something like being born in the country. And it's been, I don't think that's going to change because of the culturalism. It's usually stronger in Asian countries, where nationalism can be very unforgiving. And it's less so here, at least, when kids no longer rely on your senses. When you're young, you rely on seeing similar things, doing similar things, behaving similar because it's very comforting. It requires less effort to figure out why is it confusing, so they stick with things they know, right? Kids do that. So xenophobia is very naturally innocent as a kid. So when you grow up in an environment where you stick out like a sore thumb just for looking different, it's very excusable when you reflect on it as an adult. So like me reflecting on growing up in the United States in a place where I pretty much am easily picked out like one of three, like one of three in 1,000, right? Kind of thing. But when in the United States, when you get, I would say it's more like post high school. High school is still very obligatorily restricted by prior generations. So until adolescence is passed and you have the freedom to selectively migrate and do things, it's not the same anymore, obviously, because of the internet, right? My childhood was not proliferated by the internet or accessibility of a global audience and information. But during my childhood, yeah, and it definitely wasn't that case until post college. But going into adulthood, at least in the United States, late adulthood, it's very different now, where it's often celebrated as something marketable and valuable to be different, at least in the United States. Although I'm only speaking for like possibly still a vast minority. It's a lot more than Japan. If I had to take a gamble, and I don't think any respectable, prideful, and very happy Japanese person would disagree with me from the outside as an Asian American in the United States, where conformity is still the majority opinion. In the United States, conformity might still be, I mean, it's debatably still the majority opinion. However, it is far less majority. Some might even say it's a coin flip at this point. As opposed to Japan, I would say it's an overwhelming, maybe like 8 out of 10 versus one, say 80-20 as opposed to a 50-50. Because if you come to the United States and you ask someone, even neighbors can differentiate in their perspective on being individuals or even individualized families. Individualism is still often a hallmark of westernized cultures versus easternized cultures. And that's kind of tough. I like their portrayal of these topics, the ups and downs, the good and the desirable and not desirables, the growing pains and whatnot. You gave me an escort and you were... That's fine, Emily. Yeah. Nah, it's fine, really. What Yagami said. You don't want to ask me about those guys? I don't think it's appropriate. Figured I shouldn't, yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Alright. Maybe next time. I wonder how many steps there are. Are they all side cases now? So I'm guessing we increase the affection level to see the other steps. Alright, time for an ear blast. Time for another ear blast. Oh, you know what? Oh, no, no, no. It counts as the dart use. So let's just line this up for now.
I'm not losing, you know.
Let's go. Nice. Yep. Nice.
It's very bassy though, except for like 1 or 2 ping sound effects. I think the hat trick fixed the cake. Although, nice one. Oh, here it comes. Hat trick. Emily, you're so good. Okay, alright. Wow, she really is good though. Having all bullseyes is pretty decent if we weren't using this type of mechanic.
Yep.
I really like the weird ones, like the jank darts. The ones you have to
Nice.
like figure out the nuances.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice touch. Lost. That was fun.
Wow, that's a lot actually. Holy heck.
Emily-chan.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, let's chat first. Oh. Okay. Can we hang out? Oh, okay. So we can only do these once. Fair enough. There's no third. I'm guessing there's a third choice, but it unlocks at a different affection level, possibly. That guy in a suit,
Here we go.
just randomly swinging in a suit.
All right. Yep.
The first one's always weird.
Nice.
It kind of just floats when I'm adjusting the icon. The strike,
Yeah.
the hit indicator.
Yep. Nice. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm killing it today. Indeed. Alright. That's not too bad. One gift. I hope the other, the DLC, the 3 DLC girls have the same TLC. Really nice to hear stories. I enjoy hearing every facet or creative story they can come up with. Even throwbacks. I'm all for throwbacks too. Throwback stories. There it is. I guess we walk out. And then she'll give us a message on the phone.
I'll be
Again?
back.
Okay. Alright. How about we kill some time before heading to the bar? Nice. Station again? Roger Dodger. Alright. Lady.
Takayuki! Yeah.
Gotcha.
Ooh, Chinese food. 5-star Chinese food? Alright. Breaking barriers. Interesting. I wonder what type of barriers we're talking about here.
Takayuki, didn't you say you also worked at a high school?
Yeah. I'm a club counselor over at Serio High. Like for the Mystery Research Club.
Oh, wow. So you work directly with the kids.
I wonder what you were like in high school.
I wasn't too different from how I am now. I went to some super generic high school in Tokyo. But I still had a good time.
I'm guessing you were popular, even back then.
I'd say I was. People would confess their undying love to me, like, all the time.
That's... wow.
What happened?
Well, looks like high school went really well for her. Were those high school kids, though? Is she bluffing? Or what I mean by bluffing is she just sharing just the good times and avoiding whatever that was? Usually it's high school reunion. It's not middle school, but there is a chance that's middle school. When middle school would be close to a couple years after she needs to reacclimate. She said 7, so that's more like elementary school to middle school. Wait. Oh. Eh? Phew, I'm stuffed. That was incredible. You must have been starving. She inhaled her food again. That's cute. Food always seemed to taste better when I eat it with you. Oh.
Yeah.
You mean it? Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that. Kinda dying to know what happened last time. You are? I'm kind of, but I guess from Yagami's perspective, when it would be abnormal. In my perspective, it's very normalized. What did I do? Should I ask her? What do I do? No good. I can't get what happened before out of my head. I guess now I can't change. Yeah, time to clear the air. Well, she normally all smiles, but she has a sad look every so often.
What? Why are you staring?
How about a staring contest?
Emily-chan.
A staring contest? You're on. Fair warning, I could sleep with my eyes open.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then whoever laughs loses. Here we go.
Hmm.
My face. Yagami hurt his
Takayuki, you're silly.
Nah.
Yeah, Jay. Yagami hurt his face, making a silly face. Nice. Okay.
By the way,
Oh, this is your own outfit today,
Yeah, I decided to ditch the uniform today.
right?
The owner
We covered
sure
that.
been scowling.
I see.
Well, you definitely go out and give a different vibe.
What about what I'm wearing now? Be honest.
I like it. It's quaint.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look great. Your fashion sense are sharp. Really top notch. Yeah, it's different. It has a very complimentary. It complements her complexion, her hair, even her lipstick color. Everything has like a shift of brown, but with different shades of brown. It's conservative. Pretty nice. And then it gravitates towards white, which white is very, very, very complimentary. She could have gone gray too.
Aw, well, thank you. Gotta say, it's hard to pull off leather and denim. Don't want to look like a cowgirl.
Hold on.
That's fair. I don't get that impression at all. I think it looks perfect on you.
Thanks! This is my favorite outfit, so getting complimented is the icing on the cake. By the way, you totally rock the leather and denim look, Takayuki.
Ah,
He certainly does.
I like how our fashion tastes match.
Okay. No nails this time. Oh, hey, there's a bag. Wow, that's a really... The bag is sticks out quite a bit.
isn't that...
Right? A customer just handed it to me. I hear it costs a couple $100 grand.
Are you serious?
Seriously, what kind of customer just gave that to you? Is it Mori-san?
A younger guy,
Oh.
maybe in his late 20s. He said he was the president of some mobile game company.
Oh.
Mobile game company. That really loud bag. Is this flashy entrepreneur type? She isn't talking about Tashiro, is she?
But there's plenty of things more important than money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not Yagami. I seldom that's more like a 60-40 agreement. I wouldn't say it's a 90% like what Yagami is saying.
Takayuki, what do you value more than money?
That's an interesting question. Wow, these are choices. Life, friends, being yourself. This would resonate really well with Emily because she's unapologetically herself. Yeah, let's go with just being yourself. I think being yourself is kind of like life, actually. I mean, friends is still being yourself. Like, the sentiments of what he's trying to say. Yeah, let's just go with this. Being yourself. I don't want to forget who I am just because of money.
Wow, that's pretty deep. I definitely feel you on that one. Hey, what's it like to be a detective? Is that when the real Takayuki comes out?
Yeah.
I say it feels rewarding, and it does let me be myself. Well played.
That's cool. I'm happy for you.
Emily-chan.
What about you, Emily-chan? Does your girls bar job let you be yourself?
I'd say so. I can pretty much do what I want on the job. And I like getting to talk to different people.
I see.
I bet. Seems like it suits you well.
Totally. I like what I do.
Cute conversation. Hey, Takayuki, so about last time. Oh, yeah? You are curious, aren't you? Well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. But you only tell me when you feel comfortable telling me, okay? Well, Takayuki, I hope you're ready to hear me out.
Gotcha.
Of course. So you're okay with sharing this with me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh. That's a really nice backdrop music. Those guys, they were my classmate back in elementary and middle school. Okay, that checks out. Yep. Figured it was her early youth gets exacerbated for sticking out. Because kids are tough. They really just act intuitively. It's a human condition, especially when you're younger. And it was probably the period when she was acclimating and assimilating, living in Japan. Oh yeah, I remember them saying something about a reunion. Yeah, and the age checks out too. I'm guessing they're talking about either a 5 or 10-year reunion. So she's in her 20s, mid-20s. It would check out. Or actually, maybe early 20s. Is still going to school, post-high school stuff. Yep, in Ichicho, where I went to school.
Hey.
What was their deal? They were kind of being jerks to you, Emily-chan. Well, I used to be friends with them. But like, not friends. Relatable. What does that mean?
Does that mean...
They were your friends, but they actually weren't? As far as anyone's concerned, they were friendly with me. When I first moved to Japan in elementary school, I didn't understand the language too well yet, and I didn't know anybody. But I really didn't like spending time with them. They were always teasing me. Yep. Teasing you how? Stuff like calling me gaijin. Yeah, there it is. Talking to me in bad English accents the way I looked. They lied about what some words meant when they taught me Japanese. I say embarrassing stuff and the whole class would laugh at me. That's kind of screwed up, yes. Yeah, but I didn't know anyone else in Japan. I had no other choice but to be friendly back. This happens. So here's another deep cut about the United States. And it's a role reversal on the United States actually. So I mentioned an emphasis on conformity through like unified conformity through in Japanese, in Japan at least. I would say that's a very, from an American standpoint, there's unified conformity emphasized in Japan from throughout Japanese life, right? In the United States, there's also this weird thing because of individualism being emphasized in adulthood. Adults run schools, so there's regional individualized differences as opposed to a unified conformity consistency in Japan. Like, for example, yes, there are like your Kansai, your countryside meets your urbanism and whatnot, but generally speaking, when you stay in the city, other cities are uniformly like other cities in Japan, and then countrysides are like countryside. Like they are closer in that regards. But in the United States, if you move from one countryside to another countryside, it can actually vary due to its emphasis on individualism. So, for example, you could be next to an Amish county which borders a southern regional culturalism, and that would be different from a northern culturalism next to, I don't know, a affluent white suburbia. And because there's these emphasis on individualism in adults, school regions also vary even when they're next to each other. And what she's describing, the closest thing I can say is it makes me think about when I had to move. So a lot of times in the United States, you have geographical areas that are desirable, like say a river. And that river separates two individualized demographics. And during my middle school thing, at times, not necessarily exactly hers, because my transition from elementary school to middle school was this. So I had to do it twice. When I went to elementary school, I was surrounded by largely Black Americans. So that was the dominant demographics, and it's largely due to socioeconomic differences, especially when my parents were starting out. So you can't not stick out, even if you're not white. I'm Asian American, so that's even rarer. Actually, yeah, for sure, because there are, I would say, 15% white, like 2% Asian, and the rest are Black Americans. And you still have to do this. So I moved in, right? I moved from the only, like, New York City, which is still to this day the highest concentration of Asian Americans in the United States. So you had to acclimate, and what she described is like, yeah, I had friends. I can remember 3 of them, but they weren't my friends. They were the only people who are able to be friendly, but they're kids, you know, like this is elementary school. You have to understand, kids, it takes a very long time without even the internet to be knowledgeable enough or have any form of empathy yet, because when you're young, you have to take care of yourself. The first thing you understand and learn is self-sufficiency. Like, you got to learn all the skills to help yourself. So rarely is it reasonable to expect otherwise. If you're different and you go to elementary school where you are different, it is unreasonable for an adult or many adults to expect kids to somehow acquire all the adult knowledge of empathy, like be able to develop empathy right away, because they're all concerned about themselves. Like, as a kid, you have to hit the ground running and make sure you're doing well, you're feeling healthy, things know what makes you happy. So this stuff I don't think is ever going to change, because you can't just naturally transmit years of cultural awareness and self-sufficiency and development of life skill instantly into a kid. So this is the norm for anyone who sticks out in elementary school. Then moving to middle school, I had the same exact experience again. This time I moved across a geographical place into a higher socioeconomic class thanks to the hard work of my parents, and now I'm surrounded by white people, so white Americans. And we're specifically talking about white affluent Americans who are largely of European descent. I would say Irish, German, that specifically those in the area, and you start all over again. And it's I don't think I've ever spoken to this to most people, like just straight, but I still have friends to this day from high school that they are not aware that when I first moved in middle school into a white dominated white American place, that I had friends that she's describing who were nice to me, but they were that's it. They were just nice. But they ended up being the bullies. Not necessarily the physical kind, but the emotional kind. And the biggest irony is these things are close communities because they all still rely in middle school on the early years where there isn't an internet or anything to inform. So even in middle school, it's still unlikely to expect kids to become empathetic yet, because they're still working on life skills. Until you work on enough life skills, you don't have the luxury of focusing on others. So that's how I reason it anyways. So the people, the high school friends that I may still have, do not understand that some of their closest friends and possibly even in-laws and families were the previous people who made my life miserable as a kid. But it doesn't bring me any encouragement to like understanding psychology, like how early life phases like this happens. It makes me less likely to think of like social justice and whatnot. Like I don't hold it against those people, but I don't think a lot of the people from my high school or those who stay in contact with me even understands that the people closest to them were incredibly toxic people when they were younger. Not because they were uneducated or they were deliberately intentionally malicious. It's just you have to understand the human condition when it comes to these things. Young kids, and it's kind of unfortunate because that's just, I don't think humans are ever going to change in that way, where different things get normalized like intuitively. So being different is also knowing, like, as an adult looking at your child, right? If you're raising a child, you have to be prepared for that. It's not something you fix, in my opinion, because it's, how do you fix the instinctive nature of wanting to be surrounded by people that are similar to you? When you're a kid, you can't. I mean, you could be some people who try to slam like a couple years of culturalism into their head and expecting them to feel any different. But that's just, these are the growing pains. I don't necessarily think the human condition can be corrected in this way. So her story makes her a really strong person now, but still, it doesn't make it feel any better, right? Just a slight story, but I can really empathize with this type of conversation. I love that RGG talks about the increasing footprint of multiculturalism in Japan and how Japan is addressing these things or attempting to address these things, or raising awareness about it. Because this is a phase that I feel Japan is one of the countries that are long established with a lot of history and whatnot, but it's one of the fewer countries now that are facing this question at this stage. The United States has long been past this stage. Like it gets hard, in my opinion, it gets more complex and more difficult later, like as this goes on. And I reckon this topic is going to show up more and more in other games and whatnot, because the games are often a reflection of changing times, and one of the changing times as well, this stuff do happen. Multiculturalism is arguably inevitable due to the medium, like video game as a medium, the internet as a medium, digital goods and digital entertainment as a medium. It's a bittersweet topic. It's a very bittersweet topic. I can talk about this while having a pleasant bittersweetness, is because Emily, if this was someone's story, like not just fictional, but based on someone's story, I can imagine by the time they're 30 or 40, they'd be saying the same thing I would, generally speaking, in a healthy manner. Like, it was inevitable because of the human condition to have a childhood like hers. Because when we're young, we start as a blank slate. We don't inherit the knowledge that our parents have or anyone have. So it takes, I would argue, a kid leaving their nest, possibly some high schools, to start intuiting empathy. And we're talking about the most successful and comfortable high schoolers. Like high schoolers that have, maybe they're so unchallenged in high school with being successful, how they're being successful. Or maybe they're like 16-year-old prodigies who no longer concerns themselves about worrying about if they're smart, if they need to be successful, they need to fit in. And somehow they have enough time and luxury to think about other people who are different than them. It's not until, I would say, the average time when this realization happens is when someone leaves the nest. And then they realize that the world is really, really big. And in order to be successful, you also need to develop empathy and communication skills, not within just your in-group. That takes a really long time, and it sucks. But as a parent, at least as someone who wants to be a parent, knowing all this, you can find ways to offset it. It's a symptom of the human condition. And the human condition is something that's innate to growing up. So it's not something you can circumvent, in my opinion. But if you try to jam history and force empathy on a kid who can't even identify themselves yet and find out what they want to do in life, I think that's a not working with your children. You're working against them. A slight deep cut, but it's so relevant to Emily, and they're probably going to talk about this as we continue. They teased me non-stop, but I just keep on smiling through it all. I hated it. That must have been really tough for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But what I hated more than anything is when they make fun of my middle name. Is it... Huh. I'm guessing, is it American? Is it an English name? My favorite grandma is the one who gave it to me. Is that why you won't tell anyone your middle? Names are very... I mean, it goes without saying, she's multicultural, so she's English and Japanese American and transplanted in Japan. I don't know how Japanese think of names. What I mean is, when it comes to youth and how it can be ridiculed or made fun of, but it's a really common thing in Western society. Names are an easy target, and first, my entire high school, my name was an issue. It was my family name was an issue all the time. All through the rest of high school. When we got to college, the name became a piece of endearment. It's something that stuck out and people liked it. But in high school, it was just different. The name hybrid was different, and she probably has a hybrid name. Her family name, Mochizuki, is appropriately enough to have Japanese symbolism, right? But her first name is Emily, so her second name is inherited, which typically in a Western society, one of the big dissonances between the importances. Family name is often emphasized, right? It goes without saying. Family name is emphasized for legacy in Asian cultures, and it comes first. And then a unique name is a given name that is not a legacy thing. In Western society, there's a different approach. Giving names and inheriting names come from a given name perspective too, not just the family name. In fact, often the family name kind of gets lumped in with the first name. So one of the interesting things is the importance of being named after someone and being given a unique name to differentiate from their family name. That's usually an Asian thing where it's nice to have a unique given name, so you can't, because your inheritance and legacy is already up front by your family name. In the Western culture, it's actually fairly common, more common, to inherit a name out of even inherit a given name out of honorifics. It's kind of like a replacement honorifics, really. So her name is probably an English grandmother's name. And in the opposite, she grew up in Japan, so the kids probably make fun of her given names, not her family name. But since I was an Asian growing up in a Western country, my family name was the one that was being ridiculed and criticized and pointed at and whatnot. So it doesn't change. In my opinion, the fundamentals of this interaction is a human condition thing. Maybe one day somehow kids will be born with empathy. That'd be really interesting how that's achieved. No. It's just it's life. Yeah, I've been kind of neurotic about it ever since. It's just my poor grandma. Japanese people seem to have no problem commenting on the way others look. They don't, because they're a homo culture. So it's easy to have similar takes and similar it's more acceptable to directly comment on things that are abnormal because everyone around you have similar feelings. They totally wouldn't fly in other places. Yeah, that totally wouldn't. It would not. It'd be very difficult because most people would have varying opinions on one's comment. But it makes it neurotic too. Like it can border on neuroses or whatever you call it, where everyone's concerned about what they say in public. The irony here is a lot of times you have the golden rule of Japanese decorum and Asian in general, where you must be polite in public. But that politeness also comes from fear, right? Which is also the same, it's the same emotion as being in the United States, where there's a fear of being insensitive. However, it's a fear of being insensitive, not a fear of not upholding a homocultural standard. So it's still run by fear. And except one is out of oversensitivity of the complexity of being agreeable. The other one is upholding social norms, like norms that are ingrained. Like there are rules to being polite in Asian cultures most of the time, rules that are far more clearer, and that fear of breaking the rules is what's keeping it consistent. But in the United States, at least in a more diverse country, arguably, there's more concern about the fear of not knowing its complexity, as in the rules are so murky that it creates fear and anxiety. So I have to emphasize this because it's doubly worse, in my opinion, growing up as an Asian American. You not only have the fear of being agreeable with complex, murky rules, you also grow up with the fear of always having to be polite. Like, it doesn't like substitute for each other, in my opinion. Me personally, when I go out, it's both. I concern myself with being polite in public, following the rules that are expected, and at the same time knowing that I grew up in a country where everyone has differing opinions, and the fear of not knowing enough. So what do you do to offset that? You learn as much as possible and develop as much empathy as you can, and you specialize in the skill in communication. Like at least that's my solution to it. So when it comes to talking and speaking and charisma and that type of thing, usually I would say those, for better or for worse, it doesn't mean they're happier or more like wanting a certain life, but because they are multicultural, and if they grew up in a diverse country, I would say a more diverse country like the United States, they're more likely the people that have better communication skills. And when I mean by better communication skills, more pragmatic communication skills. Like it's not a subjectively, it's like more likable or like it fits a certain subtype. They are more consistent because they're constantly operating on not the confidence of their communication skills, it's the fear. It's doubly feared, doubly stacked fear. Like if you grew up multicultural, you have to juggle more things. It's not a good or bad thing. Some might say that sucks, it's overly complicated. That would be from anyone who grew up in a homocultural environment like Japan. I don't think Yagami even being, I'm guessing Yagami is just straight up Japanese. He is playing the role or the perspective of trying to understand and empathize reasonably with, or sympathize anyways, with someone who's multicultural. A new part of life, I would say. I wouldn't give it up, obviously, because I wouldn't know what I am if I wasn't multicultural.
Yeah.
Actually, you might be right about that. That's fair. There are more Japanese people in Japan than any other race, obviously. Any kid who moves from overseas is going to stand out. You gotta leave it to you, the writing. That's why some inconsiderate people tease and discriminate against anyone different from them. I think he did say people, but I like to emphasize that's why some naive young people tease and discriminate against anyone different from them in the United States, like in a more diverse country. In Japan, I'm that is a very reasonable way to like expand the inclusion, because it's still largely true. It stays true in older adults that there are still inconsiderate people, as in people who can be considerate but have chosen to be ignorant and inconsiderate. When we're talking about the context of Emily and her kids in elementary school and middle school, I would say it's due to innocence and naivety, because they have not grown old enough to have enough experience to actually choose if they want to be inconsiderate or not. Technically, it's still true that they're inconsiderate, but kids have to take care of number one first. They are inherently inconsiderate to others because they have to make sure they survive first. It's hard to exercise empathy if one is suffering already. And in kids' stance, in Japan is a super deep cut, right? Because in Lost Judgment, it also emphasizes the pressure kids are under in high school or in middle school or in elementary school. And that pressure makes it even less of a luxury to be caring about other people. Like if you place pressure on your kids, they will largely focus on themselves. Until they can be happy and sustainable, trying to be considerate while you're in an emotionally compromised state will create poor habits. So like, for example, this kid doesn't get good grades in high school or in elementary school, and a parent always yells at them, right, for getting good grades. But at the same time, they started bullying another kid, like because they're emotionally compromised. So the parent would say like, no, you have to be considerate. So they place even more pressure, and the only thing they're going to associate, in my opinion, or normalize is all the habits that they interact with other people. So if they're upset, the chances of them trying to empathize and being nice to another person is so low. They're already upset, and you're forcing them to learn how to empathize while being upset about their own life. That's what feeds back on bullying. Like a lot of times you don't want that cliche to happen, but it does. It's really emotionally compromised kids forced and punished to associate failure with empathy really early in life. So if a kid doesn't have the resources to feel comfortable about themselves, know that they're successful, they're emotionally secure, and you don't have those things, and you force them to try to empathize and share and care with other kids, they're more than likely to project what they know, which is being angry, being worried, being anxious. And then their first experiences are going to be that. They're going to normalize being angry, being distrusting, being selfish with interacting with other kids. So that's kind of how I feel when it comes to not really understanding how the fundamentals of the human condition when raising kids, in my opinion. Like, I'm not a parent or anything, so I can't really speak to what happens if I'm emotionally compromised, right? Because the parents are doing their best too. I'm not saying just because they're ignorant of certain things doesn't mean they aren't doing the best they can with what they understand at the time. And they themselves are human beings, so they can be emotionally compromised. They care about their child's success. It can lead to not being able to see these things. I can only say these things because I'm not emotionally compromised. There's no guarantee that if I had a child and I heard that my child was bullying another child, I can't really speak to how emotionally compromised I'll be. It might not happen. I don't know. It's just some thoughts. It sucks that that's just how it works, in my opinion. Unless somehow kids can have all, you can guarantee that your child has all their resources, perfectly grow up very fast. There's also dangers to having your kids grow up very, very fast as well. Who knows? It's a deep cut. I hate being made fun of like that. Understandable.
Emily-chan.
Last time you said you wanted to get out of Ichincho, right? Is this why? Yeah. I got some pretty crappy memories in this city. And this is the other deep cut. I left. Yeah, the first thing I did was I left the immediate environment. Right after high school, I just left. However, there's a silver lining to this. If Emily grows up to be an incredibly healthy adult, like, just immerse ourselves and think about where Emily is going, in another 10 years, she might come back to Ichincho. And the great thing about growing up as an adult and finding solace in being able to explain things and realize what the conditions are when the circumstances are growing up, those crappy memories can turn into fond memories. As in, like, fondness in a sense that it doesn't really make you feel happy, but it explains you. It empowers you. So I left and then I came back. Like, I'm still at the place where all the crappy memories happened, or what I thought were crappy memories when I was 20s too. I legit just packed up and left too. Like, the moment high school ended, I left. There was very few fondness of where I literally am now. And I returned, and as an adult, they're no longer crappy memories. And that's kind of what I suspect a realistic person, if Emily happens to be a realistic person, in another 10 years. So that's why stories are great, in my opinion. I actually got scouted by a girls' bar in Kamurocho too, which is why I've been so torn over it. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. I also just moved. I moved 2 hours away, 2 or 3 hours away, which that's more or less what she's describing here. Because Ichincho is in the Kanagawa region. Kanagawa is a couple hours south of where Tokyo is. Or I guess you call it the Kanto region. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure if Kanagawa and Kanto are the same designation regions. I'm not sure if Kanagawa is just a part of the Kanto region, but Tokyo is north of the Kanagawa area, which is where Ichinjo is set. Yokohama. I just don't want to do the same thing I did last time. Yeah, so she's gonna reinvent. She's gonna reinvent herself. When I went to college, I reinvented myself too. Or like when I left, basically. Having to give up work and run back home. Yeah, I think we all go through times where all we want to do is run away. It can be seen. Yeah, that's. I agree with Yagami. That's probably what I would say. I wouldn't say that while I was doing it though. So Yagami's older, right? He's my age now. I would say to my 20-year-old self or my 19-year-old self that I was running away. And now that I'm back, I'm not running away anymore. So it's no longer a thing that hurts so much or feels so bad that it mars my emotions about social justice. I'm gonna be real though, I still know people who that isn't true anymore. In fact, it didn't become a source of power. It became a source of like intrusive maliciousness. Like things like someone, I know a couple nowadays who say like, oh, that bully that used to bully me in high school, well, now he's a deadbeat. Like, good, that's what he deserves. That kind of thing. So yeah, it goes really deep. So that's technically not running away. It's more like confronting it, but confronting it in a different way. Confronting it in a more revenge and vengeful way. And I didn't end up being one of those people. But I could see myself in a different circumstance becoming one of those people. But because I was lucky in life, and after I left the nest, there were a lot of people who showed that the world can be agreeable, and adults are largely more empathetic than they are when they are kids. It helped me appreciate that kids only do the best they can without the years and years of adult experience. However, your kid experience could be so traumatic that it bleeds into your adult life to the point where you cannot divorce yourself from the anguish. So when people still live in the city, right? And I can tell you that the ones that still have these arguably vengeful thoughts of social justice are ones that did not change their environment, the ones that decide to stay. And it's another deep cut about how to change your environment and how changing environments can breathe new life into how to intuit better days, right? So most of those people who were bullied that I know or had crappy high school or middle school stuff harbor animosity, like microaggressions, on the way they talk and make decisions when they witness almost social justice happens. And those are the people who are also the ones that have the least change in their environment. I left, and Yagami could say it's running away, and I could say to myself I was running away, but it was because of that running away that allowed me to come back to deal with it. So I don't know where Yagami is going with this, but I'd like to hope that Yagami would say, yes, there are times in our life where we all want to do is run away, and that could provide the inspiration and the change in environment to help us develop into someone stronger to come back and face the problems head on, right? Everyone to me, I think we all sometimes need a break, and that break makes us stronger to fight another day, right? It's the whole a tactical retreat, right? Run away to fight another day.
Hey!
So, Takayuki, do you have any memories you wish you could forget? I don't ever wish to forget anything. In fact, my biggest fear is to forget. And all the pain and all the I'm fond of all the pain and the grief and the stuff that I've went through. So she's speaking from a very appropriate place because she's still young and in a place of suffering. But when you're no longer suffering, even the things that are painful become very useful. And Yagami, I like to think, he's gonna say, he's either gonna be agreeable and say, yeah, there are things that I would like to forget, but at the same time, they shaped him as an older person. We'll see what he goes with, though. Oh, I get to. Oh, no. Okay. Memories I wish I could forget, huh? Well, yeah. Really? Even you, Takayuki?
Yeah.
Of course. You know what? I ran from them too.
Huh?
No way, really? It was back when I had a different job. It was someone I couldn't trust completely. So I just ran. But he ended up facing them. So this is a throwback to Judgment. He ran for a while. Found a new way to tackle his problems, right? This is a review of Judgment, actually. And then he faced it head on and found out that it was necessary for him to run away, divorce himself from being a lawyer. He's talking about Okubo, but run away being a lawyer only to discover his true calling as a detective. And at the end of Judgment, he come to realize that he loves being a detective. He doesn't want to be a lawyer. And that's kind of what Emily is looking for. She's on that journey soon, I suppose. I was terrified of being betrayed, but I choose not to face it. That's when I became a detective. Does that awful memory haunt you even now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. But I've more or less come to terms with it. It was about 3 years ago.
Takayuki.
You're a strong person, Takayuki. Well, Emily sees a strong person because she don't see it in herself yet. I like to think that, you know, when she has a change of environment, she also come to terms with what happened in middle school and high school, or elementary school. At least one of us thinks so. Can't tell you how often I doubted myself, but I had plenty of people help me overcome it. And did that help you find closure? Yeah, no way. No way to change the past, so I can't really say it's completely behind me. But even the most painful memories can become the fuel you need to push yourself forward. Yep. This is I love this writing. I think it's starting to pander to me a little bit, because those are the life lessons. That's what makes Yagami a very impressive character written, because it almost seems like the inspirations come from somewhere that is a realistic source of you know, reference material. It's not like purely out of left field or just being sensational. This stuff happens all the time. I can almost predict how this conversation is going to resolve, but let's see what they choose to use. You can make something good out of painful past. Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The way I see it, painful memory serves their own kind of purpose. That said, it's never easy when you're the one dealing with it. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yep. Yagami pretty much summarized what I was digressing about, but, you know.
Yeah.
And we'll probably see more of this. We're going on another walk and maybe bump into more of her peeps. This role-playing walk doesn't work very well. Oh, I'm walking the wrong way. Not looking at mini-map. Awkward. Alright. Lady! Stop texting and watch where you're walking. Freaking. Yo. Look up! You butthead. Freaking texting and walking.
Takayuki, I just wanted to say thank you.
Huh?
Talking to you really helped take a load off.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. The fact that even painful things can motivate you. That's a powerful secret.
Even though there's some things you'd rather forget, no?
True. But forgetting's not so easy. I spent so much time trying to run from the past. But once I confronted it head on, I learned it could push me forward.
I ought to take a leaf from your book.
That's the secret. It's not really a secret. It's just very hard. Easily one of the hardest things most people will do in their lives. But once you learn how to do it, it actually becomes really well practiced. I don't think it's hard anymore. I can certainly remember a time when it was hard. A hero punch.
Ah.
Thought you like indigo. You're gonna be chatting. Yo, Yagami's the pretty boy, okay? You're drunk. I will when I feel like it. Yeah, you tell her. Then you better believe this old fart's gonna be alright. Kinda endearing in a weird way. Oh boy. You look like, oh no, it's the pep gang again. Yep, it's them.
Ah!
The weirdo actually works at girl. I mean, you. Her Japanese was so shady. Oh, give me a whiskey on a. Oh.
Oi!
Okay. Yeah, they're making fun of. What'd she say again? You're the one who taught. Oh, so he's the guy who taught her to say poop? Really?
Hey.
And speaking of, that's enough crap out of you. Oh, you guys want to duke it? Boxing moves? Well, I'll have you know, Yagami's a certified boxer now.
Oh!
Looks like a Muay Thai stance, but alright. You used to be in a boxing club? What a coinky dink. Oh, wait. For crying out loud, you were such a jerk. You tricked a girl into shouting poop. Oh, I see. Here, whiskey on the... Oh, dang. Are you... What? Surprised I'm fluent in Japanese now? Well, guess what? I think I've forgotten a ton of my English. Huh? Huh. You serious? You forgot your English? Yes, I'm serious. The other day, some foreigner asked me something in English and I replied in Japanese. Sorry, I don't speak English. Oh, she must have said that in English just now. I mean, you could have at least said I'm sorry in English. Yeah, times like that, it just doesn't come out. I mean, you've been a total airhead since forever. Like that time during dodgeball when you kicked the ball. Okay, I mean, that's kind of cute, but... I mean, he kind of deserves it at this point. Oh, so she deliberately kicked the ball into his face. So that was recruitment. Wait, are they just suddenly friends? Unbelievable. Oh, okay. Good on you. Good on you, Emily.
Yeah.
She is something. She faced it head on right away. I wasn't expecting that. They kind of had to turn around. That's kind of nice. Back when we were kids, I'm sorry about all that. We were really mean to you back then. Yeah, you kind of hope this is how things work out, where as they grow older, they end up having time to be empathetic. But here's another deep cut, right? The ones that tease and are emotionally compromised, it's not every day that they end up being less emotionally compromised. Like, their life and their behavior ends up carrying into adulthood, and it doesn't necessarily mean they'll be in a good place to be able to develop empathy. I can definitely tell you that I'm aware of at least 2 or 3 of my former bullies that if I suppose if I had the resources, I would try to help them out. But they didn't really prosper very well. I mean, we knew you hated it, but teasing you got a rise out of everyone else, so we just kept doing it. Yeah, I knew we were just kids, but thinking back on it now, we probably said some terrible things. You were all drunk last time you were here. Now it's a different day. Same story. Do you remember what you said to me? Oh, sorry, I can't remember. I had a little too much to drink. Oh. But I'm really sorry. Both for today and for when we were kids. Actually, didn't you have a crush on... Oh.
Huh?
Oh, it was that kind of teasing too. You know, when a kid likes a girl, he teases her and tries to get her attention. Kind of like that. Don't let the way Mankichi looks fool you. You don't believe he's raking it. You ever believe he's raking in 6 mil? Oh, so he's very successful too. Yeah, that's kind of another deep cut. So what do you think of Mankichi? Yay or nay?
No
thank
thank
you.
you.
What the... Man, that's when you bust out your English. Sorry, and besides, I already like someone. You kid. There are so many twists and turns in that one. That's kind of nice. I don't think I would have stopped you. I wouldn't even have given them the time of day if it wasn't at the bar.
I guess so.
Oh. It's my job after all, and I don't want to keep this crappy memory all bottled up anymore. And you know what? If I ever run into them again, I'll just be fine. So you think you'll be okay staying at Ichincho? Mm-hmm. Good. Glad to hear it. Wow.
It's Susie.
Huh?
Her middle name. It's Susie.
What does that mean?
Wait a minute.
Takayuki!
We did it! It's date time.
Yeah.
Aww.